Morning, everyone. You hear me? Yes. All right. So, welcome to the committee chair updates. For those of you who don't know, my name is Logan Rathbone, and with me, Laura Oliver. We're going to start off with our family law update. It's an honor and a privilege to be here in Toronto for our plenary. So, I would suggest that for this plenary update, the big theme on the family law front is family law software. God help us all, family law software. But it makes sense to me anyway that this is the big theme for this time around, since not only have there been a number of changes that have come down the pipes, particularly in the last 3 years or so, which makes the issue a very pressing one, but I will say our constituents from various regions have spoken loud and clear. This is one of the, if not the most important issues affecting sole and small family law practitioners at the present time. The status quo is not working. From my perspective, the two key takeaways is that A, there needs to be at a minimum more competition. One company having an effective monopoly on family law software is not in the best interest of family law practitioners. And I would suggest to the public at large as well, because these issues do often trickle down to our clientele. And by the way, I will put this out there. Although it's impossible not to spend a great deal of time discussing LEAP when talking about this subject, it's not my or our intention to single out any particular company. For one thing, they are a sponsor of this program, just as you can see right from the first page of our agenda. But you know what? We have a number of competing legal software companies that sponsor our programs, and in my opinion, and it's only fair to raise these concerns as they arise and as we see fit, and as our stakeholders see fit. And we're not trying to point fingers or overly criticize. We're just trying to act in the best interests of our stakeholders. And B, there seems to be an appetite for a public option, a made-in-Ontario solution, if you will. And that's something that we'll speak to shortly. But on the topic of LEAP, I'd like to actually turn things over to Laura, because on March the 4th, 2025, FOLA wrote a letter to the CEO of LEAP, and Laura was largely responsible for that. So take it away, Laura.
Okay. I won't spend too much time on it, because Alan covered it really well. We wrote to LEAP indicating that we were acting on behalf of all of our 46 Law Association members, that our mandate was to present to them that we were a unified front, present to them that the cost increase we saw as an access to justice issue, and that it was something that they needed to address. The 3-year contract was something that they needed to address. And the fact that they were a monopoly was something that we were conscious of, and that we, in a unified front, we were going to go out and we were going to foster alternatives and competition. So, as Alan explained, we have done that. We've had several meetings with different potential stakeholders who are looking into the development of alternative softwares. And so my letter, I believe, was sent out to all of the associations. If you didn't get a copy, we're happy to send it to you. The letter from LEAP, and interestingly enough, it came from Michael Perlman, who, as you know, was the person that developed DivorceMate. And the response was, hey, we've introduced some flexible pricing options. When you look at them, they're not that flexible. And they said, we've gradually realigned our pricing model over the last 4 years to reflect the true value of our premium software. I've used DivorceMate for 30 years. It's changed very, very little. But they believe the improvements provide substantial value and increased efficiency to us family law lawyers. They disputed the price increase. They disputed that there were no competitors because there's LEAP software out there. No comment. And This is one where I would appreciate feedback from people. They indicated that they share the legal community's access to justice concerns and in fact offer special pricing for organizations serving underprivileged communities, including legal aid providers, legal clinics, and educational institutions. So I would like feedback on that, if I may.
That was news
Right.
to us as well.
Yeah. So I also attended an e-service demo and discussion. This is a program that's set to roll out in September in Toronto for all family matters and also civil matters. And to try and put this in the most simple way, Thomson Reuters is developing, quote, a new portal. So you will go into this new portal, you will input in your information like you do with the current portal, but then because it's now Thomson Reuters, it will push it automatically to case lines. I'm sure we'll all get in trouble when that doesn't work. And it's meant to be a bit of a smarter option. You'll be able to, through the portal, see when your stuff has been accepted, if the other lawyer has opened it up. If there is a rejection, you're supposed to be able to correct that inside that, rather than having to refile everything. So that's coming down the pipe. In the course of this meeting, I said to the Thomson Reuters people, hey, like, if you develop forms for family law, which then could link right into the portal, which then would link right into case lines, that would really be end-to-end service, but they're not there yet. I also attended an ADR President's Roundtable, and that was hosted by the chair of FDRIO. Attendees included the Association of Collaborative Professionals, Academy of Professional Mediators from the US, Family Lawyers Association, which I actually didn't know existed, the OBA, the Ontario Association of Family Mediators, and the AFCC. The MO for trying to get together was, where do we see family law practice in the next few years? Should we be advocating for more ADR models? So that's an ongoing process. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, great. So I think, back to the changes that LEAP indicated would be made with respect to divorce. I mean, at the end of the day, whether these changes are enough is really, at the end of the day, a matter for each individual firm and practitioner to decide. But on the issue of competition, Laura spoke to a couple of alternatives that are coming into fruition. I would suggest that change does seem to be coming. It's happening slowly. But for example, we're seeing Divorce Path emerging as well as a competitor. And I just think that the more competition that's out there, the better. It's healthy for the market. And some associations, by the way, are experimenting with alternative options as well. For example, Halton, which is Laura's and my home base as of April 2025, has switched to Divorce Path. So again, we'll see what comes about as a result of things like that. We of course have to recognize it's a difficult issue. We can't just wave a magic wand and have more companies with affordable solutions just appear out of thin air. But perhaps services like Divorce Path and what's coming down the pike with Thomson Reuters, as Laura mentioned, they may be seeing that there's an opportunity to compete in this space and have jumped on that. How many more private businesses emerge remains to be seen. But taking us to point B that I mentioned earlier, what about a public or not-for-profit option made in an Ontario solution? Alan actually alluded to this in his initial remarks. It's in the very early stages, but I can just indicate the talks are happening. We've had some very interesting discussions about potentially getting started on a public or nonprofit option. And as Alan did indicate, the organization that we have been speaking with is CLIO, not to be confused with CLIO, C-L-I-O. Yeah, no, we're talking about the Community Legal Education Ontario, CLEO. And again, what will ultimately materialize, too soon to tell. But just know that this is an initiative that's underway. And then that allows us to sort of segue into the issue that we've discussed a number of times, and Alan also alluded to it, the issue of the government-issued family court forms, which leave a lot to be desired. They don't expand properly. They're borderline unusable in some cases. Ultimately, despite some initial efforts, we hadn't gotten too far along in working on that issue from FOLA's perspective. But when this was discussed recently at one of our board meetings, one important thing that was brought to our attention was it's not just the family law forms. The government-issued estate forms, for example, also have a lot of the same problems. And so it seems that where we've landed on that is that we're going to draft a letter to MAG about the problems with the government forms across the board being a huge issue, not just with family law, but it does certainly touch upon family law quite heavily. And we haven't officially moved ahead yet, but that will be spearheaded soon, and I've been voluntold, or rather, I've volunteered to spearhead that initial effort. So keep your eyes peeled for updates.
Sorry, I just had two more things.
Yeah.
Two more things very, very briefly. Logan and I want to organize a family law committee that is representative of the whole province and all the regions. We don't want it too large, obviously, but if you're interested in sitting on a family law committee, then please send us an email. Our emails are in the package. Additionally, we've been asked by the Auditor General to make some comments on the Family Responsibility Office. So if you have some comments on the Family Responsibility Office, happy to receive them. I mean, I know what they are, but happy to receive other people's perspective too.
And you know, Laura and I, Laura and I have gotten a lot of feedback over the past 6 months, and really as in the past couple of years. We always encourage people with suggestions to come forward, and if you could preferably CC both Laura and I on those emails. And I know that there's some people that might have reached out and might not have got a response, but just know that we hear you. And if we forget to respond for about a week or so, just poke us with a quick follow-up email. We don't bite hard. So with that, I think we'll yield equal time, or what's left of equal time, to our remaining chairs, starting with Mark Giovadoni, Real Estate.
I'm going to take the podium here. Hello. I thought it would be a good idea to use a PowerPoint. Now I can't see it, so I'm going to stand up here instead.
Technology, always an issue.
You can sort of see it backwards in the mirror.
I'm not that efficient. So this is just a recap of generally some of the issues that have evolved or impacted real estate practice in the last year, probably since the last plenary. So the first one is just the continual evolving of the conveyancing system, the land title system. So the Director of Titles, Rebecca Hawkridge, no longer really new to the position, but still kind of getting a lay of the land. We are told that there is going to be an overhaul update to the E-Reg documentation guide that should be coming out this year. So that would be a refresh. It's probably about 8 years overdue. So it would consolidate the changes for land titles registration processes in a handy little packet. There are continual bulletins and information sessions that are being circulated around. So there are good takeaways. Rebecca actually tries to get out to various law associations around the province to speak to real estate practitioners. I encourage you to reach out to her to include her if you are having real estate committee or CPD events. She or somebody from her staff usually will attend and provide an update on what's going on from a land registration perspective. It's very important as we're seeing a challenge. A lot of lawyers like to completely gloss over the whole concept of conveyancing and rely on clerks. And that's okay to a point, but as you may have experienced, there's not a lot of clerks that are capable of doing conveyancing in the traditional way. If you were to put a registry search in front of somebody, you can see their eyes glossing over already, and it's becoming a problem. So as we are on this general path to the graying of the bar, these are the real practical loss of knowledge issues that we have to be mindful of. So keep current and keep training. Client validation and verification of ID, it's still a continuous struggle. There's a lot of resources that are out there. Law Pro is a good, and Practice Pro is a good resource for how to go about doing this, when you need to do it, if there's an exemption, if you have an agent helping you out to gather that information. And when I mean agent, I mean like another lawyer who's doing the validation for you on your behalf. It's still a continuous issue and an obligation from a law society perspective, a rules perspective, but it is our counterbalance to the government's obligation requirement for validation of ID. So we do need to be mindful of that. It's still something that's on our radar. Trust reporting requirements, this federal fiasco is kind of in limbo given the change in election. But what has happened was this on-again, off-again requirement for bare trust reporting, which included things initially like reporting everything that's going on in your trust account if it's not a mixed trust account. That's been paused for at least a year. There is a prospect that it might come back for reporting in 2025. We're paying attention to see if that's still going to be on the radar. Non-resident speculation tax, land transfer tax, there's little tiny tweaks on how this can be, how this is paid, if there's an exemption. So those information circulars keep coming out, keeping track of that. We try and catch those and push them through in our regular updates. Underused housing tax is still a federal tax on underused housing. It's still a great mystery, a very poor communication strategy. Keep in mind that that's out there if people are selling houses or dwellings. They may be required to pay this federal tax. Capital gains amendments. This is another wonderful fiasco about whether it's happening, whether it's not. Is it on pause? We'll see what the new federal government has to say about the capital gains amendments to general provisions on that. Tariffs and investment in real estate. So tariffs obviously are not hitting directly Canadian real estate. They are indirectly impacting it. They are scaring investors into inactivity. So you will have seen that a lot of your projects are stalled. There's not a lot of movement in certain sectors. So it's a bit of a question mark. So we are monitoring how the market is impacting various areas and various sectors. Happy to hear from you in terms of what those are in your regions, in your areas, and how we might be able to help amass that information and that data. The government provincially has earmarked passage of a rescission right for the new home construction for freeholds. So similar to condos, there's a 10-day cooling off period rescission right that would be passed on to freehold homes. In their consultation, they've expanded it to include potentially other requirements for new home constructors in the overall scheme. They are working on that with Tarion, so we can expect later on this year there will be announcements on how that industry is shifting in light of the competing priorities of trying to get houses built. So there's this constant push and pull, and you can see there's a number of bills on the table right now that are slated to start impacting housing starts and construction, and we'll see how that plays with a counterbalance of consumer protection. Digital certification is a tool that the Land Registry Office is implementing so that it will help to expedite registration and certification of registrations. So the pilot was with discharges, so the expectation is if it's a conventional charge and you're discharging it, it should be certified within a couple of days, not necessarily five days, 3 weeks, whatever they could do. It'll hit certain targets, it will read it as a computer, and it will automatically generate the certification of the discharge. That's being rolled out a little bit further this year to other standardized registrations to help get the system on track. Vacant unit taxes, City of Hamilton has passed theirs, that's now up and running. City of Ottawa and City of Toronto in Ontario have these. It's a counterbalance again in terms of whether or not other municipalities jump on the bandwagon. It is seen as a means of trying to push housing into the market. Some are saying that it has the counterbalance of just not getting your councillors elected again. So it's interesting to see how that one will play out and if it spreads to other places in the province. We saw amendments to the planning regime that would remove third-party appeals to the Ontario Land Tribunal, NOCs and how those would be coming, ability to be discharged. I refer you to Law Pro's Practice Pro article on that, very comprehensive, and again, we've had a few updates on that. And I will conclude this with the ever-changing frustration on the movement of funds in a transaction, the movement and push towards the wiring of funds using a guaranteed system like links. But the first challenge, of course, is to get the banks to understand their own systems and to rely on their own systems. And I am very thankful that our dear friend Ray Leclerc, who is leading the charge of trying to get that chaos into order, is an ongoing effort, and would love to get FOLA a little bit more support to him as we try and piece this mess together. Thank you very much. I am going all over the place here.
I need no introduction. There we go.
Terry Brandon, everybody.
That's
Here we
okay.
go.
Terry Brandon, Legal Aid Chair. Good morning. My watch was telling me over there that I'm supposed to stand up for 1 minute. So I thought I better stand up. That was a good idea. I'm going to get some of you in the room, and please cooperate. I'm going to get you to stand up for a bit as well. And then you're going to get a break and you can run around outside too. The problem with legal aid, we're missing the statistics. We don't know what the situation really is. We don't have the numbers. We don't fully comprehend the breakout. We don't necessarily fully appreciate the expenses of what I would say, maybe on behalf of legal aid myself and not FOLA, the bureaucracy. It's like when you give a charitable donation, we want to find out how much is the administrative cost and how much is getting to the charity where I want the money to go. And this is an issue with legal aid. We just don't have the statistics. Part of the statistic issue as well is we don't know. We hear stories about young lawyers being smart enough not to take legal aid, opening up, doing private retainers only, and then actually succeeding, for example, in family law. We don't know the statistics. We hear that senior lawyers, and I contemplate it, are leaving legal aid certificates behind and not taking them anymore. But that's hard to do too when you really care about the people and you care about the work. So it's a difficult situation not having statistics. We're not going to get any great statistics here this morning. But what I'd like to see right now is everyone who practices or takes any family law certificate work, family law. If you would just stand up in the room. Now, you can all look around at each other and later on approach each other and discuss legal aid because it's an important topic. Now, here we have our, oh, wait, don't. Okay, Simon says. Now, Laura raised a good point with me this morning about having the discount, divorce mate, and a discount for legal aid lawyers. Everyone in the room who has their discount, stay standing. Laura, you have your answer.
Right.
At least in this room.
Right.
Maybe it's the other people who get the discount. Okay, everyone who does criminal law certificate work, please stand up so we can get a sense. Again, look around the room. There are less, but look around the room, see who's here. You have similar practices, similar issues. Meet each other, greet each other, reach out. Thank you very much. Have a seat. You don't get any discounts even by name. Mental health capacity. Any mental health workers? No. Okay, refugee and immigration, and we're usually not representative in those areas either. Thank you. Now, what I'd like to see, just for some quick stats, and then I'm going to have to go really quick with my report. Year of call, 1 to 5, taking legal aid certificates, 1 to 5 year. Thank you very much. Now, you can look to each other because you're in similar situations. 3 of you, 6 to 10. Anyone in that 6 to 10? There you go. 5. Acknowledge each other, look at each other, and introduce yourselves. Know you're in a similar situation. Let's jump ahead now, 10 to 20. Excellent. And then we'll have a seat. 20 to 30. That 20 to 30 still taking legal aid? Okay, there we go. And anyone over 30, I'm standing up.
I'm working on it.
And I'm still on legal aid. I'm the only one in the room. Sad. That's the situation. Okay, when we were at Plenary last year, I told you all about the Alliance for Sustainability Legal Aid quarterly meeting, September 16. I'll go fast now. On behalf of all of you, representing FOLA and all of the practicing lawyers throughout the province, I'm on the lobbying committee as well. We met October 1st and October 8th. We then had a special group meeting to debrief the whole group on October 15th. Those of you who were here, or those of you who weren't but were on your boards, I hope you heard the message I sent out last November was, please give us a legal aid individual on all of your boards. And a lot of you did that, and I thank you for doing that. And the names came in. And then you heard nothing and you wondered what happened. Well, I think you realized there were a couple of elections, and when you have elections, nothing's going to be happening, so to speak. So the recruitment from the various boards throughout the province, although we have that list, it needs to be updated now. So the takeaway, and I'm just gonna ask for a little water, if you don't mind. I can't pour with my hand. Thank you. The takeaway again is, please go back to your boards. Please have someone either confirm the person from before or secure, thank you, a new individual who's willing to come forward. And this is an active situation right now. We at ASLA met on December 2, 2024. We then, and you'll recall last time, the problem was a lack of communication. You'll recall we wanted to have a group from FOLA and from all the organizations to come together and to go to your various members of the provincial parliament with talking points and tell them what's going on with legal aid and what we need. So that would filter up in the government. The logjam somehow broke, I think, with the election and everything that was happening, and we finally had a meeting with the Honorable Mr. Doug Downey, Justice, on January 13 this year. So finally, after a long time with a lack of contact on behalf of legal aid issues, that is, connection happened. And I can tell you the lobbying group then, we met January 30 of this year, and then we met again February 4th of this year to discuss the Ontario election. And then the lobbying subcommittee met again February 11 this year. It has been a very, very busy time. And all of that then culminated on April 30th, not long ago, where we finally, after almost a year of silence, Legal Aid, who typically comes to our quarterly meetings at the Alliance for Sustainability of Legal Aid, they typically come. We will have a group meeting at the beginning, they depart, and then we continue our meeting for another hour. And that just hasn't been happening. April 30th, Legal Aid had reached out to us, set up a special meeting, and that did happen. It was a very friendly meeting. It was a very friendly meeting. Yes, I said that. And we had the likes of Steve Pengali, all of the upper echelon, the new appointments were all in attendance, and everyone had a lot of positive things to say about legal aid. Again, though, everything we're told, junior lawyers are taking certificates. Senior lawyers are not leaving legal aid certificates behind. Legal aid is healthy and well, but we don't have the stats. And we were told at that meeting, yes, we will provide statistics to you. We will give you access. And I can tell you yesterday, we received a letter, again, very friendly, and we have a draft that's going to go back out, and we're going to make a couple of asks just to see if we can get some of the statistics. How can we lobby? How can we move forward? How can we improve the system if we don't understand the internal workings of that system, or we don't have access to that information? So it's a real hurdle, but in the last 6 months since we were at the last plenary, a lot of work's been done and a lot of advances have been made. And now is the time, ASLA is looking to our organization to work together in order to put together this committee. And when you look at the other members, we have the Law Society, we have the Criminal Lawyers Association, the Family Lawyers Association, Advocates Society, Ontario Bar Association, Mental Health Legal Committee, Refugee Immigration Lawyers, and then we have us, FOLA, and we have the ability outside of Toronto significantly to reach out to all of the geographical areas and to make a difference and to be able to communicate. And Doug Downey is receptive, at least to listening to what the issues are. For example, how many of you have ever heard legal aid say, if you ever try to engage at this level, it's just a billing irritant. It's a billing irritant. Well, I don't know about any of you, but there are a lot of billing irritants that make it so difficult to bill at all, especially when you have to do it within 6 months. And when I raised that again as an issue, he indicated that he's willing to look into that. He actually recalled when he did some legal aid certificate work that he had a staff member who was able to assist, and they were able to do the billings. But we are now called to put so much data into a billing form that has nothing to do with billing that you can't delegate it efficiently or effectively. And you as a lawyer, you're responsible for every answer you put on there and the accuracy of it. So you can't make it work. It's just not a viable business plan. And since at least he has that experience and dealt with it in a way that is not available to us, we need to be able to properly compile data, properly compile the statistics. It would be good to know, for example, how many lawyers can't meet that 6 months. How can we change the system if we don't know? And how can we know? By communication, by getting engaged, by working together, by reaching out to the people you saw stand up, knowing you're in similar situations, and some of you may have solved some of the problems, and you can help a colleague. So that's it. I'm done. I just really encourage you, please send an email back with a name from each of your associations, from your boards. Send it to me, send it to Kelly. Just get it to one of us, even your regional rep, and it'll come through, and we'll get that list going, and I'll take that list back to the Alliance, and then we're gonna set up a meeting, give you your talking points, and we will march forward. At least we're not moving to a strike, but let's start trying to fix it from the inside now. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for letting me serve all of you.